All right, what's up, guys? This is the Baddest Cast. We have Sjotyme checking in.
Mediocre dude here. Welcome to the Baddest Cast. If you find a badder cast, we'll refund your goldfish.
You heard it here first, folks. Your goldfish. I don't have any goldfish though. So
we can't accept money. We just take goldfish at this point. We're just a small outfit at the moment.
So we'll take the goldfish. We'll sell it off at some pet store that's down on the corner.
I mean, we might be as low as crackers at this point.
Okay, well, then yeah, if you can bake yourself some goldfish crackers, that's even great. If you have animal crackers, I guess that's a discount, but...
Yeah, I mean, you got your bears and your tigers and stuff. It's a little bit more valuable than just a goldfish.
Well, before we get any further into this nonsense, this is our second podcast, so...
You're stifling me, Eric.
Shush. I'm gonna stifle you all day.
I love it when you talk dirty.
So, if you watched the first podcast, you already know what we're all about. Sjotyme, myself, you guys know who I am, and you've heard it, Mediocre Dude, last time. So, just a long-time friend of mine, just to reiterate. But anyways, we're going to jump into our second podcast, which is secondhand sales. So, this is a topic that Mediocre Dude was interested in doing. He said it kind of piggybacked off the monetization a little bit.
Yeah, I think it informs a lot of the things we talked about on the last one. Maybe clarifies a few things.
Okay. So the whole idea was to go into used games, rentals, and game piracy.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one that we're actually going to touch up on is going to be the used game market and kind of how we feel that maybe developers would be for or against it, or like how do they make money in that kind of market in a sense, and just like our overall opinion and feel.
Right, absolutely. You could talk about the consumer end as well.
Consumer end as well. So I remember my first experience with used games. It was actually a really good one. And everybody that's listening to this probably remembers Funkoland growing up.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of like our thing that we did. I was the kid that actually would bring in games, trade them in for a value. Get some money, and then basically buy other stuff with it. Like, that's how I was able to get Nintendo 64 and Zelda Majora's Mask,
yep,
etc. So I started off with a pretty good idea of like how the used game market was as a kid. I really liked it. I thought it was cool. I made the worst mistake of selling like a lot of my retro games though,
right?
Because now that I'm older, it's like fuck, and then the retro gaming market's gone crazy. Like, it's just like, I wish I never would have sold it. I had a ton of Nintendo games.
I feel like the used game market is exactly for kids. It's for people who want to play more games but don't have any income, like children.
Like, it's because it's cheaper. I for one, nowadays, I would prefer to actually buy it new.
Absolutely.
Over used. Just because
it makes more sense when you have money.
It just makes more sense because, like, first of all, like with places like GameStop, it's like, I remember seeing like, well, you could buy it new for $60, and then you can buy it used for $55.
Right.
So it's like,
it's not really worth it.
Why would I spend $5 less to get something that somebody's already played?
Yeah, and when you buy a new game for $60, you're supporting the developer. When you buy it used, they get none of that.
Right. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing that you were wanting to talk about is, and I've actually also thought about too a lot, is how the used game market is crashing the new game market, because a lot of people like to buy at discounts, and like you said, people without money would prefer to buy that, and that makes sense. And it's funny because it hurts places like GameStop actually, which is funny because they would rather you, or actually let me take that back. Games actually helps places like GameStop, hurts the developers though, because GameStop thrives. Yeah, I got that confused. GameStop thrives basically on people buying used games, and nowadays we're seeing a lot of transition into the digital market,
right?
Where there basically are no used games. You can't have a used games in the digital market. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like distribution of the same thing over and over again. Hashtag. So like,
right, just licenses basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was one thing I wanted to clarify that I talked about last time. When I talked about the Game of the Year editions and things like that, collecting all the DLC on a new release, a new digital release, a new retail release. Either way, it gives the developers a new opportunity to sell the game and collect the revenues. it revives interest in the game. But one of the main things that does is gives them another product competing against used game sales. Because these packages need to compete with people buying used copies of the game, and maybe not even buying the DLC. I think a lot of people who buy the Game of the Year editions wouldn't have bought the DLC anyway, so the developers don't get anything from that. But users are still receptive to the increase in value that a Game of the Year edition provides.
And going off of that, actually, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, basically, once a game becomes used, they have to compete with that market. Now, as far as the DLC goes, like I know with Call of Duty that they have they had the online multiplayer lock for the used games. So like if you
do they still do that?
I think they do.
Because I remember when that started, but I don't know if it stayed.
I don't see why they would stop doing that.
Yeah, maybe not.
So
I know it wasn't very well received, though.
Of course, it wasn't well received, but it's going to put money in their banks. So,
yep. But that is one way that those developers combat used sales.
Exactly,
and it makes sense, sort of.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as DLC goes, I'm wondering actually if, as far as like DLC goes on a used game, like you said, like if you buy like the Game of the Year edition, if that's going to have that same lock.
I imagine it would include the pass that you would have gotten with any new copy, rather.
But yeah, used games, like I said, did it a lot as a kid. Don't do it very much anymore, just because like of the cost efficiency. Is just like you might as well buy the new one here.
And you also have Amazon prices competing. You can still get good deals on new games now. I think
that's true.
The prices have trended downward, even on new copies, more than it did in the past.
Yeah, a lot of places like you said, Amazon do sell for sale less than maybe like at a used game store or something.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Also, a lot of used games bring up another topic: flea markets. I've never really done flea markets.
Like you say, retro games. That's what you got to get.
Retro, yeah, because I'm a retro game guy. I like to collect for retro games. I have a Sega Saturn, for God's sakes.
So, why would you do that?
Because I just got into collecting. I've always had a collection, but I actually just got into like retro gaming, like seriously, like as far as collecting goes, about last year.
Nerd.
Super nerd. At least I don't do early access.
Oh no.
But
I played 4 different card games the other day, so yeah.
There you go.
Pot and kettle, etc.
But so the retro gaming market for used games, that also another market is like flea markets and used garage sales, kind of, so to speak. But like these flea market areas, though, they're actually getting well known, and especially with smartphones and things like that, people are able to like Google eBay prices and everything.
Oh yeah.
eBay's another thing for used games, not just GameStop.
I think that's an important market. Like I think that original owners should have the right to sell their games. That's an important thing. But I think using the intermediary in GameStop is maybe not necessary, and it actually reduces the value that consumers get.
Right, and the internet has actually been a big competitor for GameStop in that. Just like with lots of different... There's like nintendosforsale.com. Kind of expensive, but they have a pretty big selection. So,
you mean like old consoles and games too?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, yeah, I guess since we're talking about that really quick, GameStop is re-entering in the process. It has been for a while now, over the past year, but they started to re-enter the retro market. They used to be a part of, because it was FuncoLand, and then GameStop bought them out,
right?
But slowly dissipated.
It was hard to recognize it as the retro market because at the time there was only like 3 generations. So nowadays, if you're retro, you're going back 7 generations. But now it's pretty common to go back 2 or 3 generations. Maybe, I guess 2.
It is common because the retro market is humongous.
Right.
And GameStop is going to fit.
But now it's more notable.
Yeah.
Because it's less common.
And GameStop, I think, is going to fizz away because of it. Their business practices have been kind of shady, like basically taking used games and selling them as new. I don't know if you've heard these news. That
wouldn't surprise me.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, because at the end of the day, they make more money. But like also,
a lot of their new games were gutted. There was like no way to tell the difference between a new and used copy.
Exactly. Sometimes I actually was sold a new game. They would take a disc out of the drawer, pop it into an already open case without cellophane wrap on it, and was like, "Oh, it's new. Don't worry." I didn't question them because I guess I was just like, whatever. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I've also heard that people were complaining about how those actually aren't new, and then they just have like these weird practices,
Right.
which kind of sucks.
Yeah, they really do, or at least have. But I think that the digital market is something that's taking hold of those sales and kind of crowding GameStop out of the market. Which I think is a good thing for the industry.
It's becoming like Blockbuster now.
Yeah, exactly.
But what also sucks though is retro gaming stores, like the one down the street from here.
Right. The ones that don't benefit at all from digital sales.
Those are going to
can't exist.
Yeah, those are going to fade out eventually too, and they're all going to go to online stores.
Right.
They'll exist with online stores because it'll be cheaper because you won't. You'd probably just have like
You'll find your audience.
You'll have an office and a warehouse.
You won't need all these little branches around.
Exactly. So we can see like essentially like the physical world of that retro market fading away, except for flea markets though. I think those will stay for a while, but
if they haven't died yet, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, the retro gaming market's huge. It's growing tremendously. I mean, we can even and like you mentioned before, how like digital is growing, and that's kind of knocking out used gaming. And I guess basically that kind of leads to rentals in a way that's kind of, we're actually starting to see a new form of rentals now, especially like where we see like Blockbuster going out of existence, such as you pointed out earlier, PlayStation Now.
Yep.
Basically, okay, so it's like you can basically rent it for like $2.99 for like 5 days. I don't know exactly what they are,
but they also have like a Netflix subscription service, and I think that's probably the best way. But it's just not affordable yet. And I think as the technology grows and like the server bandwidth requirements for Sony's end become less expensive. Those will be very accessible like Netflix now. And I think that will be a good way to rent games virtually.
Yeah, it's got to go down in price because right now it's atrocious. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like 2 days for like $2.99, 5 days for like $5.99 or something. Yeah, don't quote me on the prices. I'm not 100% sure, but look it up yourself. When I looked at it last, it was just more efficient to buy the damn game.
Right.
At the full price tag.
It's a very compelling service if the price were more reasonable.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to in the future, I think.
I definitely see it being a thing. Everything's going to go digital in the future.
Right.
Everything's going to.
And that's a great thing. And I think that's a great thing for the developers as well. It's very convenient for the users. It's kind of win-win everywhere, except for GameStop.
It is, but there's also, and I know a lot of people, and I myself included, like to have physical game copies. I know that you kind of stopped doing that. But like me being a collector, basically having the tangible game is really awesome. And then here's another question. We probably didn't bring this up last time on our monetization podcast. Is this thing that really grabs my goat? Is how do you have a $60 mediocre dude's trying to comprehend like grab my goat? He's basically, it's like, how do you have a $60 game, right? That's a physical copy, and then you turn it into a digital copy for the same price. Did we touch up on that last time?
Well, the way that I see it is the physical copy doesn't add any value. In fact, it wastes money. It should cost more.
Okay, that's an interesting side of the argument, because the way I look at it, so you're saying that the developers are taking a hit with that?
Yeah. Like, they have to go through a manufacturing process they wouldn't have had to otherwise. Not to mention all the hang-ups of needing to go through a certification involving a disc, whereas if they go right to digital, there's less of that going on. Well, it's easier to develop for.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think the price should be less, though, if it was digital. I think the price should be less for digital.
For digital, yes.
Oh, okay, we're in agreement. I got confused. Because I was saying, no, because like, I was saying how if it's $60 for a physical copy, right? Yeah, like you mentioned right there, it's going to cost to manufacture it, to package it, to ship it, all that. Even pay the employees to do all that stuff. So that includes the.
It's a huge expense, and frankly, I think the industry could do without it, and they would be better off.
Right,
just eliminating that entirely.
Right, which is cool, but I think they should drop the price tag a little bit because you can get the physical copy and the digital copy for the same price.
That's true. And I think the digital copies carry some of the expense that the physical copies do. So maybe it's possible that in a world with no physical copies, that all of the games will go down in price. Like 16 will no longer be the standard. It might be 50, 55 because they cut all of that fat out.
Right. Like I think there should be signs of it going down, and they try to say that it's like convenience costs and that thing.
Right.
I don't remember if we touched up on this last time, but that's kind of the gist of that. Really, I mean.
But I think there are people that want those physical copies, and if you want to support those
like
people
me.
who collect, they should still offer those as collector's editions. And I think that right now the collector's editions are way inflated and offer a lot of bullshit. So you're talking about like $80 collector's editions, but you're talking about just a $5 or $10 difference. I think that could be something that makes more sense and would be more attractive.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on the developer standpoint, how it's easier to just have digital, which is great. I mean, it's the most efficient for them, and they're probably going to make the most money at the end of the day.
And it's the easiest to protect
right.
in terms of privacy.
But that's also going to fuse out the used game market, because that's not going to exist anymore, so people won't be able to get games at a discount anymore. Like we talked about earlier.
Hopefully the whole market will decrease because it'll have less expenses.
That's what I'm
and competition will raise.
So we're in agreement on that. The only thing that I think that we're in disagreement on is that basically you want to have them be like, collector's editions for the physical copy, because
I think that's the only way that makes sense to me.
But here I'm on the side of the camp where like we're the retro gaming market, where I totally understand their culture because I'm part of it.
Right.
It's just like think of it this way. It's like having trading cards. It's like the difference between playing Hearthstone on your computer or playing like Magic the Gathering, like actually at a card tournament and having the cards, holding the cards and all that stuff. There's a huge amount of people that still like that. Yeah,
and I definitely ordered Gwent cards just because I wanted them.
Right, exactly. So I mean, we're not both 100% side on either side.
I just think it's inevitable that everything will go to digital. It just makes more sense for everybody.
It's inevitable it will happen. Maybe down the road. Like a long time from now, maybe it would make sense. Yeah, frankly, I was surprised that it didn't happen with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One generation. But I guess there were things that I wasn't considering. I think that me personally, like if I want to go out and get a game that I really want, like when I picked up Dark Souls 3 and I picked up Doom, they had to be physical copies. Why? Oh, here's another thing in that. Good question that you raised there. Why? Why, Eric? Here's another problem with digital downloads. You got PS4 with a $500 gigabyte cap for its standard. You can replace the hard drive though. I put over 1 terabyte. You can get 2 or 3. But that's extra money though. If everything's going to go into the direction of digital download, well, the size of the hard drive should go along with it too. It does. I mean, like the first generation of PS3 hard drive was like 20 gigabytes. It's gone up. Where is it at now with PS4? PS4? Yeah. The standard models are 500. That's what I mean. The standard models, I guess. But and I know that we use the worst. Sorry, go ahead. One of the Xbox One S models, the new ones, is 1 terabyte, and they offer like 2 and 3 terabyte. So they're going in the right direction. That's the right direction because now that's going to increase the incentive for people to. And that's something that Microsoft wants, I think. Buy digitally, yeah, and I'm sure we'll see that with the PS4 Neo as well, and the Serpico. Scorpio. Serpico. That's a different thing. Yeah, and then also at the same time, there's like these companies now trying to come out with like retro gaming systems. I forgot the stupid name of it. I know that there's like a Coleco, the Retron 5. Mm-hmm. It's not technically a used gaming system, but it's like old school gaming system. That could be like probably maybe a whole new podcast maybe. Now I'm digressing from the actual topic, but I mean, yeah, we talked. Yeah, I decide the topics here. Yeah, secondhand sales. So what else can we talk about with used games? Look, I got my notes here. I'm actually prepared today. So basically, I mean, the next thing to wrap up the rental section, and because we've talked about used games, we talked a little bit about rentals with the PlayStation Now. Before going into game piracy, I just wanted to talk really quick about another form of rentals that are occurring right now. Before I go into that, let's just reminisce about how we used to rent games really quick. It's like we used to go to Blockbuster like every Friday. I remember or if I had a good report card, Mom would be like, "Hey, yeah, let's go rent some games." My brother would get one, I would get one. You'd have it for the weekend, and that was it. You had fun with it.
And I found some of my favorite games that way, and I ended up buying them.
Absolutely. For the low budget gamer, even like back in those days, it was harder to find. There weren't places like GameStop back in those days. Funkoland was the new thing, and that was huge when everybody found out about that. That was like when Cartoon Network happened. It was like cartoons all the time.
Cartoons!
Holy shit, there's a dedicated video game store?
Oh man, and Sega TV.
Yeah, Sega Channel.
Fine, whatever.
No, because I remember I was obsessed with that. But anyways, like, I just remember going, we both remember going there, and renting the games, getting the popcorn, watch the movie with the family, and then when the movie was over, go play the games. Yep. That's how it was. Now, the other thing about rentals before we go into game piracy is just, talk about, like, other things besides PlayStation Now, kind of things before PlayStation Now. I would say like a temporary full game unlock, even though like demos could be kind of seen as a rental.
I think that is a new form of demo, but it's really neat because it doesn't restrict you in how you played the game. The demo had to be very specifically designed. It needed to end at a predetermined destination. Oh, whereas it's just a timed thing. You just play and do whatever you want, and that's really a unique way to do demos.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not exactly a rental, but I think it's very close to being.
It serves a similar purpose.
It serves a similar purpose. You get it just to test it out. But like you said, like when you rent it, you could, if you wanted to, beat the whole game.
Yeah. If you're ridiculously good.
In that one sitting, you could. And God knows I've done that. I remember actually playing Xenogears. I originally played Xenogears by renting it and getting to like the end of disc 2. I forgot how many discs are in that game. But like,
in a weekend?
Or like,
that's pretty hardcore.
Or like get to the end of disc 1, I mean. And I think I rented it twice, and then like the second time I rented it, I think I lost my data for some odd reason, but I did it again. And I just have memories doing that. Like I would get that far. Temporary full game unlocks, like usually you just get like an hour or two.
Right.
But if you fucking grind and you speed run that shit, you can get as far as you could possibly go. So, but you're still limited to 2 hours at the end of the day.
And a lot of games, they want to have that replay value, and they're encouraged to do it that way.
Yeah, and that's good. And then the last one is just basically a demo. You buy the demo, and then you get the full game unlocked. So like you get the demo for free.
Right.
And if you like it, you can buy the whole thing. And when you download the demo, you actually have like the whole amount of space already in there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. So it's just like a quick little buy.
Yep.
Chip a coin at them. But with that said, I really don't have anything else to say about rentals. I mean, it's pretty
What an idiot.
Yes. Pretty self-explanatory. I guess to wrap up the rental point, we're in a transition phase, if not on the other side of the transition phase, because like places like Blockbuster are gone. Can't do that anymore. It's going to have to be all online now.
And I don't know that GameFly ever really took off.
I was just going to start saying that, like GameFly and stuff. My brother did that. He quit his service with that. It was cool for a while. I mean, like it's a pretty cool idea. I had never done it, so I can't really talk about it too much. But I think it's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like Netflix. Netflix, they used to mail you the DVDs.
Man, those were ancient times.
Oh yeah,
for Netflix.
So I feel like maybe game mail rentals kind of never really came to. They're kind of skipping right to the end game of Netflix. And Netflix always planned on being a streaming service, even when it was in its mailing days. It knew that that's what it wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. But since back in those days, it was still the Blockbuster days, quote unquote, Hollywood video days,
right?
Family video days. You had to ease the consumer into the new market, which is
I don't think the technology was there, but Netflix wanted to corner it and build its brand before then.
I think what really, the streaming stuff, I know we're digressing from our topic, but kind of, whatever. Netflix, I feel, really kind of like went into its next phase with like game consoles being able to stream them. Yeah,
I mean that's how a lot of people got introduced to that, and like they had a platform for it in their house all the time.
Yeah, and like PS3 is how I got into Netflix. Yep. So I guess it's kind of the idea of rentals in a sense, but like not with video games.
It just hasn't taken off, and I think it's just because the data is so much bigger. The technology's not there yet.
That too, with video games today, is much bigger. But anyway, so do you have anything else to say about rentals?
Not really.
Okay, so I guess we can go into game piracy.
Oh shit.
So,
Yar, matey.
Yarr, do you have a game for sale? Or should I say, not for sale? So game piracy, I'm not really the biggest one that comes to mind. I mean, I actually was starting to think that maybe hacks and homebrews and mods were considered a form of piracy, but according to my friend Mediocre Dude, that's not true. So I'm going to let Mediocre Dude kind of control this.
Now, this is an issue mainly in the PC gaming market, which competes with the console gaming market, but maybe you're looking at it mostly from a console standpoint right now.
Well, I do have a PC and I do play games on Steam, but I'm a console boy. I grew up with consoles, so I'm always going to affiliate with the console market,
right?
Majority of the time.
And it's good that you presented Steam. I think there have been a lot of measures in place to dissuade people from pirating their games, and they've not been very successful or received very well. They've been very intrusive toward even legitimate owners, and I think that Steam has put together a platform that is so convenient and often so affordable that that's the way that you want to buy your PC games.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just by providing that value.
Man, the summer sale is going on right now, and I remember the first time that I got Steam and everything, I was just buying up games during the summer sale, and I don't even think about ever pirating games. I've never been the type of person to do that, to pirate stuff. Just because it kind of wasn't my thing, because I'd like to have the actual thing.
Sure.
The real deal. Because sometimes when you get pirated things, it may not work well, it may not be finished, or they may have done some weird things to it.
Right.
So it's just kind of yeah, you're right. Going with what you were saying with Steam, since it's cheap now, and then you also have there's so much of a selection.
And it's just such a good service. It's just all integrated in there. It manages your licenses. You can take it wherever and just log in. You can download to any platform.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the cool thing about Steam is that you buy the game, you actually own the game.
You have it forever.
It's not just
when you get a new computer, it's no problem just downloading it.
Yeah, you don't just have the license to the game. It's you actually download. You're not streaming it. You actually download it to your hard drive, and it's yours. It's almost as if you bought it on disc.
Sure.
So
and you have the data, and you have it forever.
Exactly. So that's pretty cool.
And there's always the option to pirate movies. You can find unlimited torrents to whatever movie you want to watch. But Netflix is still successful because it's so much easier.
Now that you bring up torrents and stuff like that, I'm thinking of Morpheus.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kazaa back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, those were kind of the precursors, and then came BitTorrent, uTorrent.
Okay, yeah. I may look like a dummy dumb, but yeah.
You're so dumb, Eric.
But that actually kind of really made me that's total piracy. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because I originally thought of hacks and homebrews and things. We'll probably do a podcast on that another time.
So basically, people want to take the path of least resistance to getting their game.
Oh, absolutely.
And for some people, that path of least resistance is spending no money.
No money.
But a lot of people
right.
Look at other things, and some of the convenience is worth money.
Absolutely. And if you got a job and you got income coming in, disposable income, where are you going to put it to?
Right.
If it's your hobby to play games, you'd rather take the safe route. Like I said, if I had the money, I would rather buy the new copy as opposed to the used, because metaphorically speaking, let's say you actually purchase the copy, right? We'll say that for piracy purposes, if you purchase if you buy the game new, you know that you're getting it factory sealed.
Right.
Right? If you buy it used, somebody tampered with it.
They had to. That's how
the disc may be scratched. There may be some damages to the disc that could not be refurbished, or I'm not a professional refurbishment, so I don't know if
why not.
If refurbishment is a end all be all for redoing.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that you buy the game used. It's kind of the equivalent of buying, or not buying. I guess you're not buying, getting a pirated copy, because there could be things wrong with it. But that's just my point of view.
And I think there's a moral consideration that a lot of gamers have, and they want to support the developers.
True, yeah. That's also another big thing. I agree.
Maybe not as big as it should be, but...
It's not as big as it should be because you pointed out, for the most part, well...
But there are also a lot of developers that would rather you pirate their game than not play it at all.
Okay, so free advertisement.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of like the whole idea of Let's Plays. A lot of developers look the other way because it could, especially with the indie game market,
Definitely.
people fucking play the games, especially the popular YouTubers. They play the game. Tons of people see it and they want to buy it.
Yep.
So, I obviously this channel, Let's Plays dominate the channel for the most part. In my comment section, I've seen people say, "Hey, you made me want to buy this game," or I would watch other channels that made me want to buy that game by watching theirs. So I think that the developers turn a blind eye to it, knowing that it's another form of marketing. But with that said, forgot where I was going with the pirating. That's fine.
We're going swashbuckling.
I think I'm digressing here, but that's fine.
You're such a digressor.
I am a digressor. I just trail. Oh yeah, so I was basically kind of relating to the Let's Plays, kind of because the Let's Plays support the game, and then you were talking about supporting the game, essentially,
the game developers.
Like you want to throw money at them because it might help them. The pirated version might help them because the Let's Plays help the consumer make a choice, whereas the pirated versions might help the consumer make a choice. That was the point I was trying to make.
Now, don't get me wrong, publishers don't want their games to be pirated. They want that money. But developers, the artists, would rather their art be appreciated.
Exactly.
Either way.
That's okay. That's good.
I think that's an important distinction.
So we're seeing positive sides to piracy. I don't support piracy.
Right.
Neither of us do. We're just trying to be positive and trying to make lemonade out of lemons in the situation, so to speak.
A lot of fledgling developers, they just want their games to be played. Maybe not even to support this game, but to support the next game. Just have a resume that lists a game that is well known.
There you go.
And no matter how much money it made, they can do that.
Unless you have anything else to talk about game piracy, I'm kind of fresh out of ideas on that.
So there were some ways that developers have combated piracy, and a lot of them didn't go over well. But I think one of the best ways that they have is just free-to-play games. There's no reason to ever pirate it because
there you go. It
has no value at all.
Boom! That's a great way to combat that. I never thought of it that way.
So you can pirate it all day, but you still got to buy packs or whatever.
Cool. Yeah, I mean...
So that business model is very good for that.
And
it's interesting.
Yeah. And if we keep going into that, we'll be going to last time's podcast.
Well, see, tying it all together. Look at that.
Tying it all together. So like I was saying, Matt, the mediocre dude here. He's
mediocreest dude.
He's got more of the piracy under his belt. So I mean, that's a good call. I never thought of it that way. But yeah, free to play. Really cool. And you were saying Feria is actually going to be free to play soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually might look into that since I'm liking Hearthstone a lot.
It's a really pretty game, and it's good.
So, piraters are mateys.
Pirates.
Pirates are mateys. Shame on you. Just kidding. I know that you guys are trying to do something, but
like I said, they're just taking the path of least resistance.
Just don't hurt.
That's their path of least resistance. More power to them, I guess.
The biggest issue with piracy is that you're at the end of the day, you might be hurting the publisher, but at the same time, you might, or slash developer, but at the same time, you might be helping them. So it's kind of like a give or take. I don't know. It's actually pretty heavy.
And there have been games and TV shows, especially, that maybe live and die based on piracy. One of my favorite TV shows, Hannibal, was recently canceled, and it's entirely possible that piracy was a big contributor to that. It had very low views on NBC,
right?
But it had its following, and just maybe it was pirated often enough that it didn't have the support that it needed to survive.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Like new developers or new publishers, or that they don't have a whole lot of money. They're really banking on their product to do well, and if somebody pirates that shit, it's like they don't have enough money to compensate for the loss. Kind of why you saw like a series getting canceled.
And whether it was actually about the money or not, they don't have the statistics about piracy. Mm-hmm. They don't know the amount of people who have played their game. They just know the sales. And it's possible that if they looked at the total number of people who played the game, it would look like more successful than if they just looked at sales.
And that's kind of
don't have the data.
Right, and that's kind of actually the beauty of YouTube is that YouTube is just like you see just numbers like views and subscribers and all that. So like if a new game comes out, a YouTuber plays it, you see how many views are on there, and it's just like maybe it could be attributed to to the actual YouTuber, but the fact that you see those numbers, the game is being exposed to so many different people.
Right, and the
that,
same...
like, even in a world of piracy, it can survive.
The same YouTube channel can play so many different games, and you can look at the differences between different games. You can see which ones are more popular.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see pirated games eventually kind of going extinct. I have a feeling that that's going to happen, especially like what you were saying. Okay, well, not 100% extinct. Like, I don't mean like 100%. They're always going to be there.
Of course they are.
You know, and I say that because here Mediocre dude was, giving me a mediocre look. And he's like, "Are you sure about that?" It's like, no, it's always going to exist. As long as there's pirators out there, that can make a buck off it, they will always exist. It's human nature. But what I'm trying to say is that as time goes on, we're going to see less and less. I think.
That could be.
I think.
As there's more value provided in just buying it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so there we go. I mean,
hey, wait. But
oh no, go ahead.
We usually talk about these issues from the context of an independent game developer needing the support to survive, and that's a very important thing. And I think that's something gamers should support. But it's not just that for them; it's for big developers as well, even big publishers. It's not. It works the same way because even big publishers need to see success to continue a franchise. The company's not going to live or die based on a single franchise, but a franchise might, and fans of that franchise should support it. For instance,
right, even though to your original point,
even though EA is a huge publisher, and Dead Space 2, great games. Dead Space 3 flopped a little bit. I'm sure it's a fine game, but it didn't meet expectations, and I think the franchise is dead now.
Yeah, I mean, not to cut you off on your point, but basically I played the first 2 Dead Spaces, and I beat the first 2 Dead Spaces and played the third one. Mm-hmm. The third one I kind of just got bored with.
Maybe we should play that co-op.
You think so?
That might be good.
That'd probably be cool. I know Shondo wants to.
Oh, yeah?
Or he wants to play. Well, I know he likes Dead Space, and he wants to do Dead Space on the channel. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we can all get together and do it. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be.
So anyways, go ahead and finish your point there.
I think I was done.
You think you were done? Cool.
I don't know. My brain's fried.
So yeah, mine too. And like I said, as far as piracy goes, I think I made my points and I wrapped up all I can say about piracy. So if you don't have anything else to say about piracy,
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good too. So that concludes another podcast, everybody. This was secondhand sales that we talked about, used games, rentals, and game piracy. So we had a fun time doing it. It was good.
Great.
But do you have any closing statements that you want to say, Mediocre Dude?
Leave a goldfish in the collection basket.
That's right. So animal crackers if you're not doing so well in the finance department. Or the goldfish department, I should say.
We'll take whatever you got.
As long as it's crackers.
Linz?
As long as
we're good.
Yeah, as long as they're crackers. So, because we're hungry. Well, Mediocre Dude, it was good having this podcast with you today. I look forward to many more. Look out for the next one, guys. I don't know when we're going to get it out, but we get it out when we can. So, thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you.
Have a good one.